strategic resources for the state: oil, gas, the media, other industries, to restore military power and revive the sense of national pride and identity. Putin himself owed much of his success to television. It was the first tool he needed to possess. The oligarchs who owned the media had monopolized political power and vandalized the state. They had taken him for a puppet. Now the tables have turned. Yeltsin has been evinced. It is their turn to pay for their crimes.
The new president uses tactics for his first move. He decides to operate through the state-owned energy giant Gazprom, which has important assets in the media.
So it's not a wonder that Mr. Putin, who came into power in 2000, obviously took this opportunity and, to me, literally directly headed Gazprom himself, appointing his representative, Mr. Miller, as a formal CEO of this company. Mr. Putin literally makes decisions on important business transactions or important investment projects by himself. This means that he is in fact the CEO of Gazprom.
In the Kremlin, Putin calls on former colleagues and ex-KGB officers in St. Petersburg to join his team. Alexei Miller is one of them. Gazprom is the perfect tool to attack Vladimir Gusinsky, owner of the private TV station NTV, financed by loans from the energy giant.
So all Putin actually did is demanded for his loan to be returned to Gazprom. And at that moment, financially and economically, Gusinsky was ruined, of course. And it was clear to everybody this move is political.
The rebel oligarch is incarcerated in June 2000 for embezzlement. The court allows him to leave the country provided he turns over the majority of his NTV stocks to Gazprom. Under the cover of the law and the fight against corruption, Putin has started to hunt down the enemy within and a campaign against the independent media. Boris Berezovsky, the oligarch who had helped Putin to become president, also begins to realize that the wind has changed. Gusinsky has fled. Berezovsky is the only oligarch who is not invited to the first meeting organized by Putin. For the remaining oligarchs, Putin announces it's business as usual, but politics are out. Putin is beginning to show what stuff he's made of. Berezovsky has considered him to be a mere pawn to serve his own interests. And for Putin, humiliation is a powerful incentive for cold and calculated revenge. Berezovsky's fate is strangely linked to an event that jeopardizes Vladimir Putin's own political career. In August 2000, 3 months after his investiture, the annual Navy exercises are to show the whole world that Russian military power is not to be underrated. But two mysterious explosions send the pride of the fleet, the nuclear submarine Kursk, to the floor of the Barents Sea. Putin refuses assistance from abroad and remains silent for several days. The 118 submariners on board perish in the depths. The Russian people are angry. The press accuses Putin of contempt for the families. Berezovsky, who still imagines he's the master of the situation, jumps at the opportunity to publicly denounce the president's incompetence.
After the Kursk case, Putin definitely decides to take TV channel from Berezovsky, and that's when the open conflict between Berezovsky and Putin started.
Like his colleague Gusinsky, Berezovsky is accused of embezzlement and flees the country to avoid jail.
Berezovsky wanted to be the boss. Only because of Berezovsky's immense ambitions, he was out. He had to be out. Another oligarch who was out, Mr. Gusinsky, he also wanted to be the boss and rule Russia through the television. They misunderstood that there only and always is only one boss in the Kremlin.
Putin's idea of democracy does not allow for criticism of authority. 1 year after his arrival in power, Gazprom finalizes the takeover of NTV. Early one morning, armed men invade the television studios. When they arrive, the journalists discover that a team from the Kremlin has replaced them. Putin gives one warning, but if unheeded, he is pitiless. Kiselyov and others find themselves jobs on one small station still belonging to Berezovsky. A few months later, it is also taken over and replaced by a sports channel.
There is only one key word for KGB mentality. The word is control. What you control is safe. What you don't control is a threat. So it means that you should try control as many things as possible.
A few days after the election as president, he went to the Dzerzhinsky Club. It is a big theater. There were 800 officers. And Mr. Putin went to the front of the stage.
Группа сотрудников ФСБ, направленные вами в командировку для работы под прикрытием правительства, на первом этапе со своими задачами справляется.
Mr. Putin realized it is his card to use, the KGB as man of the KGB. Such a huge support. Remember, I told you, I'm your man.
During the Cold War, the hunt for Western spies was one of the principal activities of the KGB. Putin immediately shows the West, and in particular the United States, that the secret services, now called the FSB, are back. Edmund Pope, a former intelligence officer of the US Navy, is arrested and tried for spying.
They had to make an example, and boom, here comes this time, so they grab me and use me as an example. Several of the FSB officers at the prison point blank told me the reason I was there was strictly a political event. They wanted to make a very, very clear break from the Yeltsin administration.
Our country, like any police state, needs two enemies. An enemy within and an enemy without. If there are no enemies, the system cannot survive. It's just like the Soviet Union.
Stalin's national anthem returns, with the words rewritten by the same author, and many older Russians are comforted to see the red flag of their youth flutter in military parades again.
There's a marked return of symbols like the former national anthem. Putin wants to revive the ideology that we're a great country, a great nation, respected throughout the world, feared even, that we're of vital importance. This ideology is combined with former totalitarian stereotypes which are firmly rooted in the heads of many people in this country. I'm just a simple man, but the government and the state are great and mighty.
It is easy to rekindle the nostalgia of the older generation, but the young have no memories. Putin's political advisors create a youth movement called Nashi. 1 year after his election, 10,000 young people gather on the Red Square to celebrate the anniversary. In 2002, they are 20,000. In 2004, 50,000. And in 2007, 100,000.
15 years ago, our nation was strong and powerful. If we're not careful, our people may disappear from the face of the earth.
Nashi, an army for Putin, funded by Gazprom.
(9/11/2001). Putin is the first head of state to contact George W. Bush. This gesture brings him